Okay, then block my driveway, by user PPJR16. I live next to a school and I've had parents back up into my driveway to wait for their children. If I'm not going anywhere, I don't mind, no harm no foul. One day I came home to find a woman in my driveway. I got out of my car and asked her to please pull out for a second so I could pull in and then you can back up where you were. She said I will only be a few minutes. I said ma'am, I live here and I'd like to get into my garage. Because it's a narrow street and parents are now parked on both sides, the street access is now narrow and only one car can get by at a time. I told her that I cannot wait here a few minutes because I'm blocking traffic. Well, I'll be moving in a bit. I said okay, no you won't be. I then parked perpendicular to her vehicle, blocking my own driveway and her vehicle. As I walked by, I told her I really have to use the bathroom and have stomach cramps. You are welcome to call the police if you like, I'll be out in a bit. The look on her face after she realized what was happening was priceless. A few minutes later I could hear honking. A few more minutes later I hear honking and my doorbell ringing. Only because I saw it was a child ringing on my Ring doorbell I answered. I'll be out in a minute, I'm washing my hands. I could hear the little boy screaming to his mother, I assume. He says he's washing his hands. By the time I came out a few more minutes later, all the vehicles and students were gone. I very slowly walked past her car, avoiding eye contact, and got into my car. I adjusted the mirror, moved the car seat forward then back slowly, started the car and moved my car forward slowly. All I heard was the tires screeching and the car horn honking as she left. Her windows were rolled up, so I can only assume the little boy got an earful of nice words as she was leaving. My neighbors were wondering what was going on with all the honking. When I explained, they said, "Oh yeah, that's what we kind of figured. You didn't realize you married someone so lazy, hey?" By user Secret Pies. Update at the end. Last week my husband and I went shopping. We came out of one shop and wanted to go to another, which was the other side of the car park. We walked over and there were no trolleys. What we wanted was packed into 4 heavy boxes and was awkward to carry across a large car park, so I said I'd drive the car over. It's one of those shops where you order at the till and they bring it from the warehouse to the till and you take it to your car. Well, he called me lazy for wanting to move the car. I tried explaining my side, but no, he was adamant I was lazy. I went and moved the car because the fuck was I putting my back out carrying an outdoor table and chairs set to the car. He berated whilst we waited in the queue, calling me lazy, saying he didn't realize he married someone so lazy, etc. I ended up leaving the shop without the table and chairs because he kept pushing for a reaction. Today, we went back to said shops. He said he would go get the table and chairs while I went into another shop. Guess what? No trolleys. He rang me and asked me to drive the car over. Did I? Did I fuck? That's lazy. He started to get pissed and realized he didn't have a leg to stand on. He carried each box separately from the shop to the car. 4 trips there and back. Each time he asked me to move the car and I said that it was lazy and I didn't realize I married someone so lazy. Edit for all the people getting their panties in a twist. No, I'm not nesting, the furniture is for my parents. Yes, I'm waiting on my lawyer to do their thing, then I can serve him the divorce papers. Edit 2. Just woke up to hundreds of Reddit notifications. I'm not gonna read all the comments, but I schemed a few and Jesus, some of the speculation is wild, LMAO. You could have just asked me for more info, but I guess that would have ruined your narrative, LOL. Some of you really do have 2 brain cells fighting for 3rd place. I contacted my lawyer regarding divorce 10 days ago, this petty revenge happened yesterday. I will hand him the papers with witnesses just in case his behavior takes a turn for the worse again. He's recently started to threaten me with beatings if I don't comply. He's treated me like shit for way too long. No matter how many times I've communicated with him about it, he still continues to treat me like shit. His escalation to threats of violence proves to me he doesn't care. I'm not begging him to treat me better anymore. I deserve better. If that makes me an asshole, then so be it, I'm an asshole. Update, as I don't think I can actually do update posts separately. First time back on Reddit since I posted, and wow. There's a lot of notifications that I don't have the energy to read through ATM. So I'll keep it brief. My mind is a bit jumbled at the moment, so sorry if this doesn't make sense. The divorce papers came Wednesday evening, I gave them to him yesterday morning, it's now Friday morning as I type this. All UK time. My brother and 2 of my brother's friends, both of husband's parents and his brother, were present. Police on standby. Only my brother and his friends knew what was about to happen. My brother's friends were waiting outside in case shit kicked off. My brother was recording the whole thing and thank fuck he did. Husband threw all his toys out the pram. Punching holes in the walls, ripped some doors off the hinges, destroying my things, threatening to kill me, threatening to kill himself. He tried to get to the kitchen to get a knife. It wasn't great. His parents were shocked and tried to get him to calm down, but he ended up hurting his mum. By this point the police were already nearly here and he was arrested. I've had nothing but apology messages from his side of the family saying they had no idea he was like this. I sent them the voice recordings I had from the past few months of him threatening me and explained how he changed since our wedding day. The house we are in is rented, so all the damage will have to be fixed. The lease is up in 6 months, but I'll be requesting to terminate the contract and look into buying my own place far away from him. I won't be doing another update in the future, though feel free ask if you want more info. I look forward to all the wild speculation regardless. Cancel on my kid brother's wedding at 3 weeks notice? Enjoy being at the top of Google rankings for all the wrong reasons, by user Mark Brev. So my kid brother got married 12 years ago this year. Being non-religious, they got married and had their reception at a tithe barn at a country house. Thinking for something different for their wedding present, my dad decided that instead of getting several wedding cars for them, he'd hire one car to take them from the venue to their hotel and as a surprise hire a helicopter to take the bride and her dad from my parents' place where she was getting ready, her family is from down south, to the venue. Then after the ceremony the newlyweds, her immediate family and ours would each get a 10-minute flight. So we, set out looking for a helicopter hire. We find this one company, they survey my parents' place to make sure they can get in and out. We have a 6-acre field adjoining their garden/our driveway, and do the same at the venue, confirm all is okay, and my dad signs the contract and pays the 50% deposit. 3 weeks before the wedding they ring back and decide that they can't actually get the helicopter into either the venue or our field and would be cancelling the hire and would be refunding the deposit when they do their next invoice pay run at the end of the month. Cue my old man losing his shit and by the end of the day getting his money back. What followed was a mad scramble to find another helicopter firm, which in rural Lancashire aren't exactly to be found on every street corner. After a fraught couple of days we find another firm who are more than happy with getting in and out at both places, are cheaper and more relaxed than the initial firm. When we told them why we were booking it last minute they told us that we weren't the first that they'd heard of being let down by that firm. Here's where the petty and honestly unintentional revenge comes in. Back then I was a frequent contributor to a car forum I'll call Mark's Car Nerd Forum, which is how my wife referred to it. Not a massive one, at most I think we had about 70 members, but it was ours. One guy sorted out setup and we each bunged him a $5 a year to admin it. There were half a dozen sub-forums where we'd chat about motor shows, new car launches, F1, etc. and one invite-only VIP area. Anyway, out of frustration I posted on the open pages about how pissed off and stressed we had been over the whole thing with a post title of Beelzebub's heli tours are a bunch of absolute C at number, S. Nothing I wrote was untrue, I just laid out the facts of what they did and the stress it put us through a couple of weeks before the wedding. Of course the guys all chimed in support about how shitty we'd been treated, until someone pointed out that we, as a forum, had paid for Google ranking boost and that if someone searched for a particular thing, say a Lamborghini Gallardo, then our forum would be on Google page 1 because one of us had posted about it. So everyone changed their post to start with a version of what's that? Beelzebub's heli tours are a bunch of absolute C at number, S. Within a day if you searched Beelzebub's heli tours on Google, one of the top results on page 1 was a link titled Beelzebub's heli tours are a bunch of absolute C at number, S. Eventually one of the directors of said firm emailed the forum admin demanding the post was removed as it was damaging his firm's reputation. Dave the admin told him that unless he could provide irrefutable proof that my version of events was in any way incorrect then the post would be staying up. This was followed by various threats of legal action to which Dave responded by locking the post with the message Beelzebub's heli tours have threatened to sue Mark's Car Nerd Forum to remove this post. We have repeatedly asked them provide evidence that this version of events is in any way untrue, which they have failed to do so. Until such time that they do, this post will remain up as a true account of how our member was treated by them. GSS, I didn't expect to get this attention. Thank you for all the upvotes. To answer a few recurring questions/points. Rich people problems. I know it seems that way, but the only reason we have properties large enough to have a 6-acre field is because 3 families/households, parents, me and wife, brother, pitched together to buy the plot and old barns back in 2002. As for the cost of the helicopter hire, it cost my dad less to hire the helicopter and an executive taxi, around £1,100 in total, to take our kid and his wife to their hotel than it did for him to pay for the 2 classic Daimler limousines for my wedding 11 years before. Calling my brother my little brother or our kid. He's only 2 years younger than me, but he's 6'2" to my, relatively, short arse 5'9½". Hey, that extra half inch is important. He's also nowhere near as broad or strong as me. So referring to him as my little brother is reminder that he's the younger and smaller. Also, it's very common where I come from to call your sibling our kid. Hell, my dad was calling his younger brother our kid when he'd come visit him in the weeks leading up to his passing at 74. OMG. They gave you 3 weeks notice, that's plenty of time. Anyone saying that has never planned a wedding or larger event. 3 weeks before a wedding is no time at all, especially for services which are booked months in advance. I booked my wedding cars a year before my date. We booked the helicopter 6 months before the date. Had it been cars we booked, we probably would have been shit out of luck to get replacements in that time frame at peak wedding season. As it was, we got lucky as the replacement firm had not long added another bird to their fleet and they had space available. Plus, it's still relatively rare to book a helicopter for a wedding. Back then it was really rare. People have said they must have had a reason to cancel. They did. The reason is they were cunts. The reason given did not add up. The second firm had the same risk assessments carried out and approved and flight plans for the same flights using the same model of aircraft, filed in a couple of days. There were no safety problems at the venue. They hold an annual hot air balloon rally, and if you've got space to launch a bunch of those contraptions, you've got room to launch a squadron of helicopters, and none at our place. According to CAA, that's the UK equivalent of the FAA, our field is big enough to take 40 helicopters. Plus the surrounding area is clear for at least half a mile in all directions except for directly towards the houses/barns. You can't boost Google results. Apparently not. But if you run your own business or website, you'll get at least one email/cold call/mail shot a week from firms claiming to be able to do just that with things like search engine optimization. If you don't know better, you may well be taken in by it. We, as the forum contributors, must have been, as we paid a couple of £100 out the subs to try and get more members, as we started it with just a couple of dozen of us. Also, I've been told that Google wouldn't update to show our shit posting about them as quick as within a couple of days. What can I say? It was 12 years ago, so that timeline might be a bit fuzzy. You made this up / it didn't happen. What can I say other than it did? If I was going to make this up, it would have been rather more dramatic with last-minute saves like only confirming the helicopter that morning and more severe consequences like the firm going bust, etc. You deliberately tried to destroy that firm. I didn't. I had a rant to a bunch of mates and it just rolled from there. They are still trading today. Nothing shows up when search Google. Do you really think there's a helicopter hire firm called Beelzebub's Heli Tours? Boomer threw a tantrum about people working from home, so I embarrassed in front of the team, by user Warmage9940. I work for real estate development company that's about 25 to 30 employees in total. The ages of the people I work with range from 23 to 68. We are expected to be in the office twice a week on days of our choosing. Most of the employees love this system, even the senior level people. Some of the older crowd prefer to be in the office. I have no issues with this, as everyone is free to do whatever works best for them. We have this one employee who is quite old and always has something bitter to say on our morning meetings. He isn't a senior level employee, but most of us answer to him out of respect for his age. He's made some of us run personal errands for him and do additional admin work he doesn't want to do. He's just an old bully and always has something negative to say about our generation. One day he was tasked to do some admin work for our manager and he asked for help on it. I had back-to-back meetings and a boatload of work to do. I told him I couldn't help. He was visibly frustrated with me and told me off to my manager. My manager spoke in my defense as she knew how busy I was. Still, I was annoyed with how he handled that. The next morning we had a full team meeting and the topic of working from home came up, and obviously he had a few words about that. He said that his generation were harder working, that our generation has become extremely lazy. That working from home is just an excuse for people not to work. That our generation has it so easy, and how people worked harder back in the day and didn't slouch at home pretending to be doing their job. It was a very clear jab at my team and I. I was honestly so fed up, especially after what happened the day before. I snapped back with, well, back in the day people could afford a house and support a family off a single person's income at 25. Some team members started laughing and some looked shocked. Immediately others started chiming in. My coworker added that most people could afford to rent a place on their own for less than a third of what it costs now. I then said that most of us are almost 30 and can't even afford a car, so time/money wasted on transportation makes a huge difference to some of our lives. For the first time ever, he didn't know what to say. He just stayed dead quiet and tried to nervously laugh it off. The way me and my coworker were talking was very calm. It didn't come off as rude or condescending. It felt so good to watch our managers nod along and agree with us. Sweet but simple petty revenge. Edit. Wow, wasn't expecting this to blow up as much as it did. I'm getting a lot of people saying that I should have brought up the fact that he distributes his work to others. This was a meeting with the whole team and bringing up an HR dispute would be extremely unprofessional. I opted for a subtle approach. Husband gives epic petty gift after ongoing boomer neighbor issues, by user Sathara88. I was told this story would be appreciated here, grinning face with smiling eyes. We moved into a rental house in a neighborhood with our 3 kids, and the day after we moved in, our boomer neighbor, let's call him Gene, knocked on our door after my husband left for work. When I answered the door, he skipped all pleasantries and introductions to gruffly inform me that the light switch in my family room closet needed to be turned off immediately and that it was my duty to ensure that it was kept off. Obviously puzzled by this demand, I asked what the switch was for. Gene said that the switch was for an exterior patio light that would shine into his bedroom at night and keep him awake, which was not acceptable. I figured the kids had turned it on while exploring the new house, so I assured him I'd turn it off. Without another word, he turned on his heel and went home. Unfortunately, my rude Gene encounters persisted during the 18 months we lived there. He would wait for my husband to leave, then come and complain and gripe at me about something we had done wrong. Our dogs would loudly sniff at the fence if he was outside, our sprinkler was spraying too high, our trash can was too close to his, etc. etc. Our other neighbors adored us and our kids, so I really don't think we were the problem. I finally stopped answering the door, so he started leaving notes and even went as far as to find me on Facebook and send a message there. Just the worst. Husband tried to talk to him and tell him to leave me alone, but he'd deny any wrongdoing. Reasoning with him was pointless, so we made the decision to just ignore him the best we could. We were finally moving to a new place out of town and my husband went back to do the final walkthrough of the house. When he left for the final time, he called me and to let me know he had a gift for me. The last thing he did before locking the door and leaving that house for good? Turning on the patio light switch in the closet, knowing full well the landlord wouldn't be there for final cleaning for 4 days. Face with tears of joy. Best gift ever. I still laugh when I think about it.